This week, we're in the high plains of north of Denver at the University of Northern Colorado with the head football coach, Ed Lamb.
This episode of One Star Recruits, as always, is brought to you by 500 Level. It's 500level.com. All the best Denver athletes out there. Nikola Jokic shirts, big cartoon shirts with Jokic. Nathan McKinnon from the Avalanche, great shirts on 500 Level. Also, Patrick Surtain, underrated cornerback for the Broncos. Get them all on 500 Level with the discount code PODCAST for 20% off everything at checkout. 500level.com. Let's go.
Hey, this is Ed Lamb, head coach of the UNC Bears. I'm on with the One Star Recruits. Go Bears.
Yo, aloha. Welcome to the One Star Recruits podcast. We're back on campus in Greeley, Colorado, home to, I believe, about 10,000 students. Love a good college town. We're from a college town, Rip and I, the beautiful city of Tempe, Arizona. Big Sky Conference, of which I am a proud Big Sky alumni, here speaking with you on this beautiful day. I'm a big northern part of the states guy, come to think of it, Rip. I moved to Northern California. I went to Northern Arizona. Kind of a big northern guy.
You always, I'm scared of the snow, DK, but you're the snow guy on this podcast. I can't snowboard, I can't ski. I believe you can do both, which maybe you'll move to Greeley someday.
You gotta get in touch with it. I did a little bit of northern Wisconsin in my day, where the snow became a thing. All good. Very similar football situations we have and sports situations with Northern Arizona University and Flagstaff. Kind of, and this is talking about our state a little bit, Greeley. I'm going to talk about Greeley, but I empathize. I understand. It's like NAU was third fiddle in the state for resources in athletics and money and all that good stuff. But we were owning that space. We had the Lumberjack. We had the best mascot, even though the Sun Devils are pretty good too. Close second, but I still think the Lumberjack's a great mascot there. But it's okay. I understand the third fiddle. Same thing's happening in Colorado, Rip. We got the Colorado Buffaloes, obviously. The big guys. They were the Arizona Wildcats for us. Tucson. All the good players, all the good stuff. Then you got Colorado State, a little edgier team, play a little bit of a different style, fun to watch, but Arizona State vibes. And then, of course, you got Northern Arizona up there in Flagstaff, and then you have Northern Colorado. Am I wrong, Rip? Very similar synergies and energies in the states.
Very similar, yeah, kind of like third fiddle, to be honest. And coming off an 0-11 season, that's 0 wins, 0-11. And in this interview, Ed is really honest and upfront about it. Some great stuff from him talking about how he feels like they're really at the beginning of a turnaround. But yeah, they're third fiddle for resources, for players, everything. But he's got a challenge ahead of him, and I'm excited to see what happens.
It's a challenge. It's a sports town. On a positive note, Greeley ranked 15th happiest city in the country by Wall Street Journal. Happiest. That's pretty chill.
It's probably all those breweries up there.
Dude, I actually have some information that you're going to really like about Greeley that as soon as I read it, I was like, holy shit, Rip's going to love this. It's, they have a fun little, this should be known as the RIP rule, the RIP law. It was June 2012. Greeley became the first city in the state of Colorado to implement a law of common consumption, which should be known as the RIP law, because you love common consumption. Big drink in public in Vegas guy. Like you, I've never really seen you happier, Rip, as the moments when you can drink in public. Anyway, this law of common consumption in Greeley allows patrons of the downtown Greeley entertainment districts to buy drinks and to-go cups from in participating in different establishments. It's an open drink place.
Wow, that is a bombshell, DK. This Southwest fly to Greeley. I'm ready to book my ticket. Probably one of only 5 cities in the country with that law.
I'm telling you, bro, you really did actually appreciate you. I'm not lying to listeners when I say that your level of happiness goes up just the notch more for some reason when you can drink a liquor drink and walk around in public. Am I lying or is this truth?
You're 100% true. And I mean, just to be honest, if you're a responsible drinker and alcohol consumer, it should be allowed, in my opinion. So that props to Greeley, props to the mayor, props to the unofficial mayor, Ed Lamb. I might be a snow guy now. I might have to get up there.
It's worth getting up there. They gave us, he's not exactly from Greeley. He's from a town, and I'm not exactly sure how close in relation it is. I'm grateful that Greeley in particular, this county helped raise a top 3 tight end next year that plays for my Arizona Cardinals, Trey McBride, big Northern Colorado guy. Town called
Huge.
Fort Morgan, Rip. Grateful that he was born. He might be the best tight end in football. We got Laporta. We got Kelsey's ending. We got Laporta. We got McBride coming up for our Arizona Cardinals. So feel good about that. Let me ask you this, Rip. I got a professional basketball player who played for the Philadelphia 76ers, New Orleans Pelicans, Knicks, Magics, and Washington Wizards. What era? He was 20. He was maybe mid 2000s. Do you have any idea? From Greeley, Colorado.
Man, I know this is wrong, but I feel like a 7-foot redhead like Todd McCullough would be from there. But give me the right answer.
Close. Jason Smith, sharpshooter, small forward maybe. Reed Doughty used to play for the Washington Redskins. Sean Chacon, Rockies, Yankees, Pittsburgh Pirates. Couple UFC guys, UFC ladies come from here. So great place for athletes. You're still at the elevation. You're still in Colorado with all kinds of beautiful benefits of the Rocky Mountains. Getting into to play in the snow, take advantage of those activities. It's very safe, Rip. Lots of military. Lots. It's a safe state to live in. Top place to live. Big football state. Low cost of living, bro. Enjoy this interview with Ed Lamb.
Now joining the One Star Recruits podcast, we have a husband, a father, a native of Pleasanton, California, and the current head football coach at the University of Northern Colorado, the unofficial mayor of Greeley, Coach Ed Lamb. Thank you for hopping on with the One Star Recruits, Coach.
Yeah, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you, guys.
Checking in, born in Pleasanton, California, Bay Area. Are you a Niners guy or a Raiders guy, Coach?
Well, yeah, that's a really good question. So the Raiders were going back and forth between Oakland and LA when I was younger. My dad's a Raiders guy. He came up, in the 70s and 80s in Oakland. But, for us, all the guys I came up with when we started getting into football, the 49ers were not only really good, but they were the only team in the Bay Area. So I'm definitely a Niners guy. I was pulling for him this Saturday. Fred Warner was a linebacker at BYU while I was coaching linebackers there. So
That's
pulling
right.
for him and happy for all of his success. Very proud of him. So, yeah, was disappointed to see him.
Disappointing.
On special teams.
Let me ask you from a linebacker point of view, because I know you guys are the heartbeat of the defense a lot of times. You got the red dot on the helmets on those positions. They're calling some of the plays. When what happened with Greenlaw with that injury of that kind of magnitude in that moment, from a defensive perspective, did you feel that as a turning point in the game, even when you saw it just as a coach and otherwise? Did your heart go down in your stomach a little bit and think, oh, that's a big deal, or rally around the players? How do you feel as a coach when you see bad injuries like that shouldn't happen?
I guess it's hard to speak for everybody. I know that on a personal level, you always, when one of your guys goes down, you know how much work they've put in and you know what they mean. There's always another guy coming in and quite frankly, you're excited for that guy at the same time. I think it's just one of the dozens or maybe hundreds of things that changes momentum. And for how long that lasts, it's like, momentum swings back and forth, but that was certainly a big downer.
So tough. Yeah, that's good to know. So we got Niners during their prime. How about the '89 earthquake series between the A's and the San Francisco Giants? You got a baseball team in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I believe I was a junior in high school on the practice field. We were practicing football when that happened, and
Wow.
I remember one of my best friends. He was a senior, 1 year older than me, but he had just transferred in from Texas. His name's Jim Freeland. His son Blake Freeland was a lineman for us at BYU and a draft choice, and he started as a rookie this year for the Colts. Anyway, Jim went down on all fours because he had never been in an earthquake, and it was a serious earthquake. At that time, we had wooden light poles, and you could hear those things swinging back and forth and cracking, and we thought they might bust.
Wow. I'm impressed that you're also doing practice during the World Series. Kids aren't watching the World Series. We're practicing for our own sport. Amazing. I'm glad you survived it, though. Those are very scary. So there we go. So we're Giants. We had to get that always in the Bay Area. You got to get that sorted out. Which teams you root for, where. But then you headed to BYU. And I got a picture, Coach, from 95. I don't know, Rip, if you could share this with Coach. You don't have to, though. It's on the BYU press kit. Boy, oh boy, do you ever look like a linebacker in this picture. You are thinking only about stopping runs, sacks, and interceptions. You remember taking this picture at BYU in 95, Coach? It looks like you're ready to play football right there is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, there's just a lot of times where I just forget to tell myself how happy I am. It doesn't show up on my face, It's a curse.
I have because you were ready though. I mean, let's see, it was 95, 96. I think you had really great quarterbacks. You were playing at your peak those years. What was your NFL comp when you were playing currently that the kids might know about, that we might know about? Who would you think that you played the most about at your playing peak?
I was a big fan of the Saints linebackers, their whole linebacker core back then. Even blanking the names, but I think
I'm blanking the names. All I can think is Scott Fujita, and I know that's not correct.
he was a little later. Yeah, Scott was a little later, but I think Swilling
Pat
and
Swilling, yeah.
thank you,
Ricky.
Ricky Jackson, and
Yep.
then Sam Mills, the inside linebacker spot, I think. But that whole core, just there was a lot of different body types, athleticisms, short, stocky inside backers, long, rangy outside backers that dropped into pass coverage, rushed the passer. And I just remember being I was a Niners fan, of course, but the Saints are in that league, and so I got to see them a lot as I was paying attention, and thought they were some of the best.
Really, 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 really good comps to those times. Now we're back here. We've gone full circle. Let me just go through University of Redlands, University of Idaho, San Diego, BYU, Southern Utah, Northern Colorado. You might be a moving expert. You a U-Haul guy or are you a mover guy?
At the age I'm at, it's actually a small number of moves for a coach. So, yeah, I mean, we definitely know how to move. We know how to do it. We know how to move ourselves. We know when we know how to have the movers come in, and the pros and cons of both of those strategies. And my kids are really the ones that have had, I guess, the brunt of it. We moved a sophomore 16-year-old daughter in mid-year last year when we took this job, and it's worked out incredibly well for her, but there was a lot of risk there, and we were worried about it.
You got a great family around you. That coaching cycle and the coaching life of the movement it's a real thing. And I think having a sense of community. I have a move coming up. I'm headed back to the mainland possibly here this summer, and just the fact of establishing community. Any tips for people establishing community in new cities that you have?
Well, I don't know if it applies for everybody, but our family slogan is home's where we are. And so as long as we're together and we're a support for each other, we've got a special needs son, pretty severely autistic 14-year-old boy. And so we also rally around him, and it's easy to be reminded on a daily basis of all that we have with our faculties and abilities. And then the realization that my kids have had over the years of how hard it is to pull away, but you don't actually lose friends. You keep those friends and gain new ones. And I think you only learn that from experience, but maybe hearing about that from somebody else can be encouraging.
It's amazing perspective. Amazing perspective. You're a recruiting pro. At one point in time, life led you down a series of decisions and choices, and you were sitting like a lot of us in a cubicle. You were a financial recruiter instead of a football recruiter. Are those skills transferable? And then do you remember any wins you have as a recruiter? Did you get any wins recruiting financial executives, Coach Lamb?
Oh, I sure did. Yeah. The financial executive recruiting was the most financially rewarding year that I've had.
Interesting.
Yeah, at that time I was working for Bank of America Investments. We just got, Tom Cable was the head coach at Idaho. We all got let go when he got let go up there. And so that was when Idaho was in the Sun Belt. It was a difficult time during their stretch. And then, I was out of the college coaching game for a year. So I picked up that opportunity. Yeah. The similarity is that it's just how many times you can pick up the phone.
Right.
Just kept calling and calling. You got to dodge receptionists. You got to tell stories. You got to just find a way to get these guys on the phone, and then just quickly get to the heart of it. And I think that in a lot of ways can translate to recruiting, is just cast a wide net and keep doing the research and the digging, and eventually there's a fit. And once that fit happens, yeah, we were pulling in about 3% of the total book as a bonus of the financial executives that we recruited. And so, yeah, two guys with a big book could get you a good year.
Let's go, Coach. I love that. I love stories like that. So it's very relatable for people who daydream about the dream of what you're doing with their day job. A lot of things are transferable, though. You're in Colorado now. We got Deion Sanders there, and this question you've heard before. Really, for me, it's a question of, does high tides raise all ships, or does it make recruiting more difficult in the state? How's that question hit you? Does Deion Sanders in Colorado make things easier for you, Coach, or a little bit harder?
Well, I think the the awareness of college football and the excitement of college football in this state. I came in at the same time as Dion, so it's hard to compare it to before, but just, trying to put myself on the outside. I think Colorado football is getting more exposure than they ever have. The University of Colorado, I think it's translated. There was a very highly rated game between Colorado and Colorado State. I get a lot of local people, just bumping into people at the grocery store, or even UNC alums asking me, how, their recruiting is affecting us, or in this case, they're not recruiting the state. They become a little more of a national program, both Colorado and Colorado State, with their recruiting philosophies. I think it's left a lot of good players for us. I think there are a lot of good underrated players right here in Colorado for us.
I love that. Love hearing that. I'm a big Sky guy. I'm a proud Northern Arizona lumberjack. In fact, I pulled my hamstring in 2006 at the Walkie Up Sky Dome during an intramural flag football tequila sunrise thingy. So big Sky guy. Never have made it to Nottingham Field. I'd love to get there on a Saturday. Talk to fans who should go out and get some tickets who love football. Colorado now loves football, the whole state. They ought to get to Greeley on their road trip. What can they expect?
Oh yeah, great question. I mean, you're talking to a coach here that just took over, and we went 0-11, right? But I think we're on the front end of a remarkable turnaround. I'm betting my job on it. This is I don't want to be any other place. I've got friends in the business who have worked at amazing places. They have no idea what it's like to be at a program that is, challenged. To take. During my time at Southern Utah, when we took over that program, we inherited an 18-game losing streak, and in year 3, we won the first championship in school history. And that's what it would do here. To duplicate that, if we can win the Big Sky here, it'd be the first time in the Division I history of the school, first time since I think 1997, when they were Division II, that they won a championship. What a tremendous story! And if you get a chance to come and see that in person and be a part of that story in person, I think that's well worth your while.
And you're really betting on Colorado high school student athletes. I think you had your signing day last week, and I think the number's correct. 18 out of 22 of those student athletes you signed are from Colorado. You, like you said, you're building your reputation around it. You're banking your job on it. You really believe that you can win with Colorado high school student athletes. What has been the experience in your little over a year recruiting in state and seeing some of the infrastructure that the high school programs in Colorado have built up?
Well, we're already, starting to flip that roster that I inherited with Colorado kids. This is now our second recruiting class. The first one was heavy Colorado kids as well. We're starting to build a regional cohesiveness within our team. Some of our best leaders and guys with the most potential are young guys in this program. I think coaches sometimes fall wildly on one or the other end of the spectrum. I'm a player development guy. Other coaches are recruit talent, and at some point you got to make your decisions on there. Not a lot of the talented kids that are also developmental are coming to FCS football, and yet if we do it right and develop these guys, we can have a regional cohesiveness. We can have a spirit of gratitude for being in the place that we're at. And we can, put numbers of guys into the NFL and have a lot of success with championships. We've sold that exact same process to the high school coaches in Colorado, and it's been well received. The University of Colorado started out as the teaching college, and it still is. The School of Education is one of the biggest aspects of this college. So many of the high school coaches in this state are UNC grads, and they couldn't be happier than to see us out there recruiting their own kids.
One of those Colorado success stories we had on this podcast is Chargers starting running back Austin Eckler from Eaton, Colorado, went to Western Colorado as a one-star recruit like us, basically a zero-star recruit. So I know there's a couple of those gems out there, probably even on your roster right now. What's the emphasis on the strategy with the emphasis on high school athletes versus transfers? I noticed there's very few transfers in the class. Is that a size thing, a byproduct of the size of the school or the program, or what's the strategy behind that?
Well, simply stated, our goal, there's no way to measure it, but our goal is to believe that we're the hardest working team in the country. And so, the idea is that if we truly are the hardest working team in the country, and we're pushing these guys in a way that nobody else can, and nobody else can inspire their team to do that. If we're able to do that, then why would we take a guy that's 2 or 3 years into a lesser working program and not happy there? The grass the grass is always greener on the other side for a lot of these guys. The portal is filled with more dead ends than it is success stories. And we're just not looking to build a program like that. I think if it were a Colorado native that's out somewhere and wants to come back home and get a fresh start somewhere, I think we'd be open to that idea. But we 100% believe that we can take the 17, 18-year-old kid and 4 to 5 years later be playing in what we call guarantee games against an FBS program. And we believe those FBS coaches will be saying, where did they get these guys? We did the same thing at Southern Utah. We went and played UNLV in about our 4th or 5th year there, beat them by 30 points. And a lot of those kids were right there from Vegas, which is, as you know, really close to Cedar City.
Still got to figure out, Coach, who's your starting quarterback's going to be. You've got some front runners going. Bill, you picked a starting quarterback yet?
Yeah, no, not picked one. It's just like my job. I can be shown the door any day. We like to do that for all of our players as well. It's a daily competition. We, Shea Kuykendall got some good playing time last year. Hank played well when he was in, suffered an injury that kind of kept him from really competing down the stretch. And then Peter Castelli was a highly rated recruit that transferred in a year ago, but he was serving an ineligible year last year. So I think those 3 guys are probably the top of the depth chart going into spring practice.
Competition is what drives success, and we're going to see it starting with the spring here. Coach, we end every interview with the segment we call 1 star to 5 star. We always talk about it. We're 1 stars, but we're trying to get better. We're trying to get advice and tips from every guest we have on this podcast, like yourself. So I want to ask you a few questions that run the gamut on a 1 to 5 star scale. Just 3 of them to close it out here.
Sounds good.
You've been in Greeley, we mentioned, a little over a year now. You got the family. You're going out on a Saturday night to a restaurant. Let's call it the 5-star Lamb family restaurant that you found in Greeley that you just love to eat at.
Yes, and Centennial House has been one that we've really enjoyed here in town. It's fairly new. I think it's only about a year old. Same owners run a restaurant across the way, Luna's Tacos, which is another good one. We really enjoy the fare over there at Centennial, and it's a nice environment. You feel like you can be anywhere in the world when you're sitting in there.
We'd love to shout out those small businesses, Centennial House and Luna's Tacos in Greeley. All right. Second one here. You're in a profession that a lot of people want to be in, obviously, but it's a supply and demand thing. There are only so many spots out there for head coaches. You kind of seem to have a really good grasp on balancing work with family and everything in between. It's probably that longevity that's kind of put that all together. But we know coaching isn't all roses and butterflies. What's the 1 star part about being a college football head coach that you would change in a heartbeat if you could?
I'd like to see the television copy show all 22 players on the field. I think they're so often misunderstanding by fans of what's available. There were some people that were really upset that the 49ers weren't running the ball more. I don't know how many people actually know that maybe they were trying to run the football. There's a run pass option there in the 3rd quarter, and the Chiefs are just doing a great job of stacking the box. And so at that point, you're playing your numbers, and sometimes a team that's been as successful as the 49ers running the ball, they've opened it up with the passing game and the play action passing game, and that's actually what went cold. And so I think if there were a little more wider coverage, or at least the option to see that, and announcers were a little more in tune, and instead of trying to discredit the coaches, maybe find the reasons that got them there and what they're struggling with, I think it'd be a much higher appreciation level and a more educated fan.
Spoken like a true coach. I think we're getting Nick Saban and possibly Bill Belichick in the booth on Sundays and Saturdays now. So maybe we'll see more of that perspective come out.
I like that.
Last one here. You have a big birthday coming up in a few weeks here. You're turning 50 on March 4th. On a scale of 1 to 5 stars, what are the odds we're going to see a big 50th birthday party celebration for Ed Lamb all over social media? What are those birthday plans, Coach?
Well, 0. If you've seen my social media, you know that it's pretty deceased. I only have a Twitter account so I can DM recruits. I've never actually done a post or a like or anything like that. I'm not even sure how to do those things. And, the other thing that saves me on that is my son was born on the same day. We have the same birthday and the same name. And so the birthday really becomes about him, and it's easy for me to kind of deflect any attention that would be coming my way. It's, let's make this about my son, who we call Edward.
I'm sorry to bring it up. I know you're one of us, man. You don't like to put that out there and celebrate those birthdays, but I wouldn't do it unless it was a big one. So we appreciate you coming on. Everyone go follow Northern Colorado football. It's at UNC_BearsFB on both Twitter and Instagram. Coach Lamb, not a big social media guy, but you can find him on there too. We're a little over 6 months out from the season opener. It's at Incarnate Word on August 31st in San Antonio. Coach Lamb, we wish you the best of luck this season and beyond, man. Thank you again for coming on with the One Stars.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for what you're doing. I really appreciate your efforts.
You're very welcome. Go get your tickets, fans. Get your tickets. All of Colorado has great football going on. Great football, great basketball. Colorado's big sports state. Go support Northern Colorado.
Special thanks again to Coach Ed Lamb up there in Greeley. Northern Colorado, DK 0-11 last year, but as you heard from that interview, they're poised to improve on that. You can only go up from here. What's interesting too about the Big Sky is I believe it's one of the only conferences that doesn't have any realignment. I can't even keep track of our Pac-12 schools, who's going to the Big 12, if the Pac-12 even exists anymore. But if you look at the Big Sky teams and standings, you're going to see the same teams as last year. It's Montana, it's the Idahos, it's Montana State, NAU, like you mentioned. All these guys are coming back for another year. Big FCS powerhouse conference, so Ed Lamb's got his work cut out for him, but he seems like the right guy for the job.
Right guy for the job, taking over for a guy that everybody knows, Ed McCaffrey. Dad of Christian McCaffrey, 49ers loser in the Super Bowl, but great running back. So big name, big feels. It's a tough job. He's the right guy for it. Glad we can have him on the pod. One-star recruits. Rip, we do really good job getting people on right before the elevator takes off a little bit. And this is really common in head coaches in football. You pay your dues. You really get in the mud a little bit, and then the next job comes calling, and the next job, and so on. Before you know it, these guys are at Notre Dame or Florida. So big, we'll see. Love the Big Sky Conference. Montana State always wins. They're always the ones winning for some reason. So something in the water up there in Bozeman. Who knows?
Maybe old Ed Lamb is the next Mac McClung, DK. Come out of nowhere, one-star recruits appearance, wins back-to-back dunk contests. What do you think?
Yeah, thanks. Nice tie, Rip. Nice All-Star Weekend tie. How did you like it? How was your All-Star Weekend with the NBA? Lots of people hated it.
It's like so many things in sports these days. My kids are reeling me back into it because they're super interested. They're super interested in the Steph versus Sabrina. They're interested in the dunk contest, the three-point contest. I even watched the skills challenge. I've watched the Ruffles celebrity game for Christ's sake.
You're fully All-Star committed. This is great. This is really good. So you're seeing it through your children's eyes, which is fun and probably enjoyable from its own perks, though. But was it digestible? Let's start with, we can pass a celebrity game. I don't care about that. Let's start with the court, the lights on the court. How did that hit your stomach?
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, I believe it's been done before at lower levels, but it's kind of cool to see as a one-off thing. I mean, I really didn't pay too much attention to it. It didn't jump out off the screen to me.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it either. I think it was fine as a fan and good. Dunk contest, your guy, Jaylen Brown, worst energy ever. Worst. To be the superstar out of the group in the dunk contest, and for him to put on such a cheesy performance. He blamed the floor for not being able to do the dunks that he had planned, which were all silly prop dunks, but not dunking over cars like they used to, or doing. Now we're at the stage where we're recreating dunks, but not even recreating them. We're creating them at such a lower level of style, flair, and performance, and trying to get our points in the look what I thought of, look how smart I am versus look how cool this dunk is lane with him. But he blamed the court, Rip, for not being able to jump as high as he could. How about the dunk contest?
It was going to be hard to top last year when Mac kind of came onto the scene and threw down some of the best dunks ever. And to me, agreeing to go into this contest against Mac, who was an obvious favorite and a front runner, one of the top 5 dunkers ever, I'm not afraid to say it, was a tall task. And I don't even know what Jaylen Brown had to gain by going in this contest, especially when he had those dunks planned. So I don't really get it, but it was cool to see Mac win again. It wasn't nearly as good as last year, but it was nice to see our guy Mac win it again.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him get a call up in the NBA too. It's to kind of bring him out. He's the only G League guy that gets brought out now for this dunk contest. Every year this happens, and then Twitter gets a hold of this. X gets a hold of the dunk contest, and I start seeing these guys at Club One in St. Louis and the Metro clubs in Dallas and these country clubs in San Diego doing way better dunks, like way better dunks, different movements I've never seen before, reverse 360s while flipping hands. So although Mac's first dunk was great, I really like the alley-oop to himself. The gimmicks got to chill a little bit more, and I think we can get back to being an athlete, and you have to. It's like kind of like a dropping a joke in stand-up comedy. You do got to bring them in a little bit, but you really got to. Vince Carter in Oakland hammering that dunk home and the whole building erupting. That doesn't exist anymore. We're too cool for school. Too cool for school is really the name of the whole weekend. All-Star game itself. So you're watching with your kids, Rip. We know the last 10 years it's been, I don't know, it's been this, which is kind of just like a scrimmage, a light scrimmage, open practice is what they used to call it when fans come to practice. It has those types of vibes, some singing, some dancing, whatever. A lot of incentives have been thrown out, money incentives to actually get this thing going a little bit more. So the target score, the Elam ending, all good stuff. That puts a purpose on it. They're talking about monetizing all stats. So monetizing like hustle stats, monetizing rebounds, throwing money at it. Sometimes that's not the solution. Sometimes you throw money at problems get a little bit worse. I don't know now at this point in time, Rip, you've been committed with your kids for 3 hours of mediocre to poor skills challenge, shooting challenges, and dunk contests. Are you watching again? You letting them back in on Sunday for the All-Star game?
It's unwatchable. That I watched 0 seconds of the actual game. There is, as you know, there's a cool feature on YouTube TV called Key Plays. So my 5-year-old's super into that. So you can just go through any game after it's over and watch all the key plays. You can see the Lillard half courts and all the alley-oops to themselves and all that. So that's all we watch. But yeah, the game is actually unwatchable to me. And until they can promise no one's going to get injured, I think it's going to be the same way. Even the money incentives, the stat incentives, that's not going to keep anyone from getting injured. And I think that's always the main concern with a mid-season game.
Yep, same for me. It's an unwatchable. I knew it was on. I knew it was coming. I scrolled through the beginning and the pregame was drawn out, just like too long, too much. And I was out. I went on a walk and didn't even think about it. It's just not something. And it's not something that it used to be in the 90s for us, Rip. And maybe we were kids. Maybe now kids just digest it a different way. I love it that they're doing. That's the way that basketball is going to be taken in the future. You're going to watch 10, 11 clips and take in a full game. No more recording a game. No more sitting watching the whole thing. I think in football, it's 8 minutes of action in a 3-hour game. Something like that. 8 to 16 minutes. Listeners, you can tell me if I'm wrong there, but that's a little nuts. I don't want to be one of those haters in it either, because I think it is entertaining. I think it's fun. I think we live in a world now where we want to say things suck. I'm just not interested in it as a consumer, and I love basketball. I'm starting to become, I know we talked about being a big, NBA League Pass people, and I do love watching obscure basketball still and cooking and putting it on, but I really don't give a shit until the playoffs, man. Is kind of the cold hard truth about the NBA for me. I'm a big NBA playoffs guy. I kind of get the stories through social media, and then I'll watch a couple games a night, but I'm not watching full games anymore. So we'll see what the NBA can mix up in their pot. I know that they'll keep changing things up. That's what's kind of cool about the NBA is they're down at least to make changes. They've even seen it with All-Star. The player said it's too much bullshit. They pulled out some of the extra bullshit like the drafts and the other commitments. Probably as top of anything with any All-Star games. City matters. The place where it's being held, I think, does matter a lot in the overall vibe of success. And I think that keeps the Joker and Luka, although jumping around like toddlers, having a good time with each other, don't care about being in Indianapolis. They might have been happier campers in Miami. Who knows?
How about having the game after the season, like the NFL does? Would that help or change anything, or is that just a no?
I think the NFL is unwatchable too. I don't have solutions, Rip. I don't have good solutions. I need to think of it a little bit more, but I don't really like the regular season anymore. So maybe I'm just a fucking curmudgeon. Maybe that's what's happening.
That might be it. You got no solutions, no answers. Do you have a 1-star moment of the week?
1-star moment of the week. I do. I did a beach trip by myself. My wife came and wanted to chill and read a book. I said, I'm going to go lay out at the beach. It was colder in the mountains. It was nice at the beach. I'll tell you, bro, I'm so hard not to look at butts. Like, what a time to be alive. Great, amazing. I remember growing up all the way through college. If a thong bikini was being worn in public, beepers would go off. Nokia's Snake would be interrupted on your Nokia phone with a code that a thong was being worn in your county. It was just really like a bad signal. It was such a rarity. Two thongs two thongs. What'd you do this weekend, bro? I saw two thongs at Roosevelt Lake. Best weekend ever. And now you're kind of out of style if you cover your cheeks. You can kind of even see it, like it's like, oh, you're not stylish anyway. Anyway, so I was trying to navigate my way to my spot on the beach. Stay cool, act cool. Well, at least 45 sets of cheeks are perking up, catching some sun. It's human nature to want to look, but the last thing you want to be is like a creepy beach guy. And this is a whole new era, really, dude, where still my 16-year-old self is like, oh, a thong. And it's like really kind of the thing. So my one-star moment was walking through the gauntlet of thongs at Poipu Beach over President's Day weekend, acting like I'm from Ibiza, Spain, and it doesn't faze me, like doing my best to be super cool, but also trying to determine my path and if that would be very confused. Am I wrong, Rip? These bathing suits are getting smaller and smaller each summer. It's a gauntlet of butts. I want to just be cool, but I also want to look at some butts. Very difficult situation.
No, it's, I think, any natural human, because you don't see it every day, but when you do see it, it still is a little surprising. Definitely a lot more common than it was 20 years ago with the Nokia phones, but still very surprising.
Is it as surprising for a 24-year-old, or is that just like what it is?
I can't speak for 24-year-olds, man. I'm a man. I'm 40, DK. I cannot.
You are 40. You remember though when somebody might have been laying out in the field in your area in Mesa, all the homies would get on their bikes and head over there.
Yeah, it was quite a sight. You'd beep somebody to page somebody. They'd call you back from a payphone somehow, and they'd show up. Is there a chance you were at a nude beach, or is it just that's just how it is?
No, normal beach, man. It's really the game. Body types don't matter as much. It's the It's the thing to get some sun on those things. Everybody feels more free. I think when you go bathing suit shopping, that's just what you get nowadays.
Were you wearing sunglasses at least to kind of hide where you're looking at?
Yeah, and I wasn't even like doing real looks, but it is the human nature. You just have like, six people laying out there with their butts out. You keep a straight path, you give a little gander. Do they want you to give you a little gander? Like, or is you just doing it for some real sun? Even the male shorts smaller nowadays. Maybe people like sun more. Who knows?
Yeah, you don't discriminate.
Curmudgeon, big curmudgeon.
You're looking at guys, girls. You're looking at anything with a G-string or
yeah, any nice butts, dude. Any nice butts. My sister and I call them squares. If we see a nice square, we say, "Hey, there's a square. Just take a look over there." They got a code for it, so it's always nice to see a good butt. Appreciate a good butt. If you're out there showing it off, you're showing it off because you got a good butt. A lot of bad butts though too, and I still want to look at some bad butts every now and again. What can you do?
Hey, you're living the life out there. Send me pictures next time. That's all I can say. The iMessage gets them a lot quicker than that Nokia.
There's no messaging of that anymore. That's the creep level. That's what you pass over of the messaging. Rip. You just got to go with the flow. Be cool. I'm from Ibiza, Spain. I see it all the time. Move on through. What's your one-star moment? Beat that.
I had a weird one this week. Kids are always asking crazy questions. As we know, it was President's Day, so they're asking why we get this day off. And they actually got last Monday off for, I believe, Lincoln's birthday, and then the second to last Monday off for President's Day. So anyway, my kid asked me about Abraham Lincoln, all these questions. How old was he when he died? What year did he die? Why did he die? How did he die? I said he got assassinated. What does it mean to get assassinated? So, it goes down the whole line. And then finally I explained that to him, and he said, well, who killed him? And I had a blank. It's one of those questions that I feel like 9 out of 10 Americans should know, but my mind was going to like Sirhan, and all the 8th grade history lessons. And so anyway, thank God for Google. I looked it up, and I know the name John Wilkes Booth. It hit me after. There was one of those, but to me, it was at one of any 5 people. I didn't know exactly who it was. So I Googled it. I John Wilkes Booth it. And that was my one-star moment, basically not knowing what I feel like 9 out of 10 Americans should know. But I don't know what parents did without Google, like when we were little. to answer these things. You just lie to your kids. Like, and so thank God for Google. Like I said, it took me 0.2 seconds to come up with John Wilkes Booth.
Lots of lying, or lots of sending you to look in encyclopedias. Remember the houses that had the encyclopedias? You would have had to dig through there, find the B's. BOO.
Yeah, we got it good these days. You can just find the answer on the internet within seconds. But I don't know. Would you know that if I asked you who assassinated Lincoln? Did you know right
Yeah, I
away?
would have
John
known
Wilkes
that.
Booth?
This my history is my history, state capitals, and history and state capitals are my best subjects if I'm doing bar trivia. Those would be the two I would say I can see the clearest. Music would be my blind spot, my number one blind spot. But I think I know that one, Rip. You're at the magic age of serious questioning going on with your kids. So onward, Godspeed. They're coming with the good ones. I can't even imagine this day and age with the news and people saying the kids and patience, understanding, and truth. Keep no lying, Rip. Keep it real.
I can't wait for the what's a G-string, what's a thong question after they listen to this pod.
If they've gone to the beach, they've got to already know. But that's the thing. At this day and age, it's normal. That's the new normal.
Very true. Do you think CJ and Chili from Trash Talk Boys would know the answer to who assassinated Abraham Lincoln?
Worst trivia dudes ever. No chance. No chance. However, like I said, you get them in their lane, movies, film, whatever they like, beards, serial killers. They're great. That's the beauty of trivia. You've got to communicate like a good group project. You got to get out really early. No overconfidence. No. You will be exposed in bar trivia if you say you know state capitals and you don't know Olympia. You know what I mean, Rip? You will be exposed. Okay, so keep them off of your trivia team. Good podcast, bad trivia players. How about rec of the week? That's your rec, Trash Talk Boys. Our guy Chili.
That's always the rec. But we talk about it every episode, so that's always the rec for me. But no, I'm going to bring up your favorite subject, DK, my upcoming trip to France that I've been talking about for 10 years. And part of that encompasses my rec of the week. And because everyone knows if you have a passport and you're about to travel, if your passport expires within 3 months of after your trip, you got to get that thing renewed. Sometimes you might get stranded at the airport. But the actual rec is that now that 3-month timeline has apparently changed to 6 months. So anyone listening to the show, if I can save one person from getting locked up in customs in The Hague or Amsterdam or something, I'll do it. Because if your passport expires within 6 months of your travel dates, you got to get that thing renewed. So I was scrambling yesterday when I found that out to get my wife's passport renewed. So I get that thing sent in the mail this week in time for it. But that's it, man. 6 months is the new days. 6 months is the new 3 months. Did you know that?
Didn't know that. I got to get a passport done. You live in the mecca of government offices, though. You can always drive to someplace and get it. I got to fly to the island of Honolulu if I want to express it. I'm in the stage of I need to get my pictures redone because I lost all that shit in the fire. See ya. So I got to get my whole pictures redone and send it in. Good reminder for me. I'll take the reminder, Rip. 1-star rec. My recommendation, I'll keep it Hawaiian. Take your phone out, listeners, right now. Go ahead, pull up Google, Yelp, whatever you use to search in the town you live in for food, and go ahead and put in these lines. Malasada. I think I remind people once a year. Sometimes Rip will throw it out there. It's a Hawaiian donut. I know you got donuts all over the mainland. Everybody thinks they got great donuts or whatever. This is just a little different. They'll put a smile on your face. I know they're popping up all over the mainland. So hit Malasada into your search bar. This week, go out and get yourself one. I had an amazing lilikoi and cream. My personal favorite is just one dipped in cinnamon and sugar at coffee at the beach with thongs. Excellent morning. So get yourself a Malasada. MALA Sada.
It's a great rec. I think I had one of those when I was visiting you in Maui last year. Unfortunately, terrible timing, DK. This is a Greeley, Colorado episode. You're giving local Hawaiian recommendations. You continue
No,
to
big
do it over
Colorado,
and over.
big Polynesian community in Colorado. Lots of recruiting actually going on for University of Northern Colorado on the islands. These guys are active.
Get Winston on and let me know where I can get a Malasada in Greeley, Colorado. Get Winston on, and that's the real rec right there for all our Colorado listeners.
Plug it in. If they have a Malasada, you can probably get yourself a mixed plate too. Double down. breakfast and lunch. Get a little bit of summer's coming up. Get a little bit of Hawaiian goodness in your life. They're great. They're fun. If you have kids, it's different because they're circular. Malasadas, support it. Go get it done. Maui Invitational coming back to Maui next year. We're excited about that. All right, Tasty Rex of the Week, Rip. Well done. Hit the music. Rip's reactions. So our guy Onik from the Shooting 2 podcast ran into Bill Cowher in Vegas a couple weeks ago at the Super Bowl. He said hello and got a handshake. Olivia Culpo and Christian McCaffrey are on vacation right now in Cabo with George Kittle and his wife, wearing thongs, of course. Rip, you're at a bar and Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle sit next to you. What's your move? What's your line? Be honest.
Right now in my life, it's going to be the kid angle, because I might not have my kid with me, but I'm going to go up to them and tell them how much my kid loves them, how he has a McCaffrey jersey shirt he wore during the Super Bowl, because they're going to reject me as a 40-year-old man, but if I talk about kids, they can't say no. So that's the angle.
Smart. Great angle.
And if you have your kid with you, it's even more surefire.
Kid is not with you. How about no kid with you, 4 drinks deep?
I'm going to tell him we had a Northern Colorado guy on this week, Ed Lamb, who just succeeded his dad, Ed McCaffrey. 1-star move. I'll probably get punched in the face.
Mix it up in Cabo a little bit with Christian. I like that move too. Great answers. Maybe your best Rips reactions yet, bro. Dude, well done. Matthew Slater retires as a Patriot. Is he the last special teams only guys ever?
He's the last one that I know about that was successful at it for so long, and you just don't hear those guys. I remember Justin Bethel from the Cardinals within the last 5 to 10 years was really good, made a few Pro Bowls, but I think Matthew Slater made 10 Pro Bowls. I'm on board for him in the Hall of Fame, because it shouldn't matter what position you're at. If you're the best at your position, you're the best at special teams, you should be in the Hall. So yeah, legend right there.
Best locker room guy. Inside baseball, best locker room guy that helped bring a lot of those rings there. So put him in. A cougar attacked 5 cyclists in the state of Washington. They survived. 1 woman's in more serious condition. Rip, you're cycling. A cougar is chasing you. Please describe your defense moves you will perform. Back kick, side punch, pedal faster, get off your bike and act big. What's your move?
If I have 4 other people with me, I think I'm going to go with strength in numbers, because that's the only thing that the cougar's going to catch you. You can't outcycle it. If you kick him, you can't. I mean, unless you get him at the right place and he falls down and he's hurt, that's really the only defense to me. Otherwise, you're going to get a leg taken off. It's going to be in his mouth.
You have enough time to think to move people together like a bee swarm? Who's in the middle?
If you're all really close to each other, at least you have, like I said, strength in numbers, so you might have a chance to scare the thing off. I think I read that they tackled the cougar and subdued him.
It could go bowling. It could go bowling with you if you're too close. Spread out maybe creates more of a problem, Ref. This needs to be studied.
1 star.
Bob Marley, One Love, one at the box office this weekend. A lot of people are bringing their kids to see this one. At what age are you taking your kids to see a PG-13 movie? Maybe this would be a cool entry-level movie to take your eldest to on a father-son outing. What do you think, Rip? Thumbs up, thumbs down on Bob Marley with your eldest?
I was just looking at that yesterday because we had President's Day off, and I was looking at going to see movies. They were all PG-13. It's too early for me for that now. We're really conservative on that kind of stuff. I always go to Common Sense Media, Rec of the Week, Common Sense Media, to see what age appropriate each movie is for. So I think we're at least a few years off from that. I don't want to expose them to anything I don't have to.
Rip's reactions, wonderful. Winston got back to me. City of Greeley, no malasadas.
Oh wait, we got Ollie's Malasadas. It's a
food trucks. There's a food
truck.
truck. I was saying there's no brick and mortars. It's still the Winchell's town. If he's telling me, but I'm getting the food truck. Ollie's Malasadas. There it is. Portuguese donuts.
They're at the yesterday they were at the Fresh Foods on the corner of Mountain and Shields. Not sure of the town, but that's where they were. So Northern Colorado, go get your malasadas.
Northern state. We're Northern state people doing Northern stuff, eating malasadas, sometimes wearing thongs. Life's good. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.